Broken Plane Podcast, Episode 5. This is a repeat episode because we lost the first 5 that we tried to do. And this is the second 5. So second recording. So that's good because sometimes I forget to press the record button, and that's what happens. I am your host, JB, along with my co-host, TK.
TK, that's me. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. And we're doing this over Skype. This is a little bit new, although we've had we've already done it once now. It's had a trial run.
We broke it in. It was successful to a degree.
Yes, in as much as we figured out that it could be done, and now we're doing it. So that's good.
I like it.
Yes.
Not as much as in person. I like being there with your shining face.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Although this has the added benefit of me not being able to look at you and say something now. I think you need to say something now because I don't have anything left to say on this.
That's true. We can communicate a little bit better when we can make gestures at each other.
Eye contact, just body language. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get into it. We wanted to start off by going over ways you can reach us here at the Broken Plane.
Yeah, because there are many.
We have lots of channels.
We have Twitter, which is at the Broken Plane. That's it. Mm-hmm. Easy. We're waiting for you to come get us.
Someone's got to come up. 32 followers.
Yeah, I think we added another one over the night.
Yeah, we're up one.
Yeah. We're on Instagram. That's super exciting. The Broken Plane. Easy. You can email us, thebrokenplanepod@gmail.com.
That's a little longer, but still pretty easy. The Broken Plane Pod.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Facebook, The Broken Plane Podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, you get the hang of this.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah, and then we're on iTunes and Google Play Music now.
Yeah, both.
So you can listen to us there.
A bunch of ways where you can get this podcast delivered to you and communicate with us.
Gotta love it.
It's fantastic.
We're waiting for you. We want the feedback. It's so bad. I really want to know what strangers think of this. We've had a little bit of feedback over Twitter, one or two people.
Yeah. But not enough. It's been about what you'd expect. Nobody has come out yet and said you guys are terrible. You should hang them up. We haven't got that yet.
Yeah. Speaking of minimal feedback, I'm going to go jump into our Twitter fan of the week.
Ooh, yes.
We're doing this now until we've gone 30 weeks and we've run through all 30 of our followers, and then we can't do that anymore.
No.
But for now, new fan, Den. That's what he goes by. I don't think that maybe is actually his real name. Maybe it is Denny or something. But it's at Keep Pound Den. Keep Pound Den. POUNDENN. This guy listened to our podcast, said he liked it. He says, good stuff here on the NFC South and the Panthers by these guys. He liked what we had to say. He agreed with most of it, except for the 5-11 guy, which is you, Jay.
That was me, yeah.
He wasn't happy that you didn't have them going further, doing better.
I don't want to be waffly, but looking back on it, 5-11 might have been harsh. It might have been harsh.
Hard, though. That's a stacked division.
It is. The NFC South is a good group. Good group of teams. I actually went out and listened to the Keep Poundin' podcast.
Yeah, that's right. You did.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Three guys talking about the Panthers. 3 guys from Boston, I think, talking about the Panthers.
Courageous.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm naming them our unofficial brother podcast. They have no idea. Maybe if they keep listening, they'll find out. But it is decided.
It is decided. Yes. Fantastic.
Yeah. So there's our little intro. Let's move on to the meat.
The meat of the episode. We've got all the divisions wrapped up. We've gone through all 32 teams at this point. So what we were going to talk about today, rule changes coming up for the 2017 season.
Yes.
And to jump right in, the first rule change. Speaking of jumping, nice segue. Unsportsmanlike conduct for leaping over the line of scrimmage to block extra point attempts or field goal attempts.
Yeah, the Cam Chancellor play.
Yeah, this is the play where you would line up a little bit behind the line of scrimmage, and at the snap you would jump over the center, and block the ball down.
Just right up the gut, swat that thing.
And this is a play that was legal if you cleared the line of scrimmage without touching anybody. You're not allowed to skim across and
no contact whatsoever.
Yeah, you can't step on the offensive line on your way over. And
no walking.
You can't step on your own teammate either to try
no
to get
launching.
over the line. But now you can't do that at all.
No, it's unsafe.
That's what they're saying. They're saying that the way to defend that is to stand up and upend people that are leaping over you, and it's a recipe for someone to land on his head, and nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, that's a good way to break a neck.
Yeah, so that no more, which is too bad.
It was a fun play.
Liked that play. Yeah, it was a good play, fun play to watch.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Cam Chancellor was really good at it. I think Jamie Collins had done it once, and I think most of the other people that tried it did end up on their faces.
Yeah, it's hard.
Or just got penalized for it.
It's hard. Leapfrogging the center is tough.
Yeah, you have to be really athletic because centers are big.
They don't look big compared to other offensive linemen, but they're big guys.
And they're probably being trained to stand up quickly, too, on plays like this to try and limit this from happening.
If I was a special teams coach and that happened to my guys one time, I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
See, all you had to do was stand up. That's it. you just had to stand up. That's all you had to do.
And you didn't.
And you chose not to.
So now you can keep sitting on the bench. So this is good. Yeah, I like.
It's probably okay.
Good change. I mean, the ownership and the players, they both wanted it this way. I think probably Cam Chancellor is the only one that didn't want it to become a rule that he couldn't do this anymore. So by and large, I think this is what the league wanted.
Fair enough. Okay, hits to the head. They're going to have stronger enforcement of egregious hits that they're trying to take out of the game.
But Jay, what's egregious?
Egregious would be, in the opinion of the referee.
Oh no, opinion?
Yes, we're going to ask these people to make judgment calls, based on how hard or how avoidable, I guess, hits are.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the rule. The rule doesn't even spell out head contact.
Oh.
I don't think it does. They're trying to take egregious hits out of the game. So hits that have no purpose and hits that could be deemed dangerous.
So just anything ridiculous.
Yeah.
And violent.
They're trying to take those plays out of the game, and they're going to make it a point of emphasis to not just penalize those with yardage, but they're actually going to start kicking people out.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Well, hopefully there's not too many of these in the first place, and it doesn't become like a big thing where people are getting thrown out regularly. Like every game, somebody's getting thrown out. That's where the judgment scares me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody had to do it, I just thank God this isn't the NBA.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you get NBA referees and ask them to make judgment calls like this and put it on them, I don't think we'd end games with, half a bench gone.
A one-on-one with the two white guys.
But NFL refs are usually pretty good with this kind of stuff. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but this could go sideways.
Yeah, curious to see how it goes. But I mean, they've got the right.
Yeah, their heart's in the right place.
Yeah, that's the word I was going for.
Yeah. Speaking of the referees, centralized replay review.
I like this.
This is gonna take the NFL and move it into the 21st century.
Finally,
along with Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League, instead of the on-field official going over to the
VCR,
the sidelines, over to under the hood, if you will, now replays are going to be handled at the NFL offices in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, the senior vice president of officiating, Dean
just the
Blandino.
Vice president, yeah, Dean Blandino.
Okay, just the vice president of officiating.
Yeah.
Dean Blandino, and he's going to have a team of, I'm assuming, crack guys there to help
Yeah.
him look at these plays and determine whether they are in fact penalties or not. But this is going to take that out of the hands of the on-field official.
Yeah, yeah, not just penalties, but probably it's going to be catches, where the completion was made,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So,
And this
which is a big part too.
Yeah. And I think this will be good.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a little more consistency in the calls that are allowed and the calls that are overturned, because you're going to have one set of people making them.
Yeah.
The articles that I'm reading say they expect this to speed up the game by about a minute and a half. So
Woohoo.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but you're talking about 3-hour games. Every
Yeah,
little bit
exactly.
helps. I think that's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. It works really well in hockey. I don't know how it works in baseball. I don't watch a lot of baseball, but
It works.
in
I've
hockey,
seen it.
it's really good.
They get it right most of the time now.
Celebrations.
This is the big one.
This is the one you're going to see every week.
Yeah.
They're allowing some celebrations back in.
Yeah. We're adding in. You can celebrate with the football as a prop after a touchdown only, not after a big catch. It has to be a touchdown, but you can use the football as a prop. You can celebrate on the ground again, which is great news for all you Snow Angel fans.
Yes.
And then you can do group demonstrations. So you can have, I think before they limited it to maybe you and one of your teammates or something, if it was not, like a high five or something like that. But now you can pull in your whole offensive line and perform a scene from Shakespeare's Hamlet.
This is one of my favorite celebrations is from a football movie, Any Given Sunday. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The grenade. The grenade football, do you remember this? They all huddle together, and then they throw the grenade, and then the grenade explodes, and they all fall down.
Hopefully somebody does that.
That's fantastic.
They will become my new favorite team.
Speaking of favorite celebrations, do you have something you like?
I have a couple. I'm going to go back not too far. I'm going to go back to what I believe is the heyday of celebrating right before NFL really cracked down on it.
Yes.
So we've got Steve Smith. He didn't do anything too outlandish, but he just had some good ones that were kind of relevant to the game he was playing and the team he was scoring against. So in Tampa Bay, he pulled out a sword and had a little sword fight, which was nice. Good moves. Up in Minnesota, a little bit after they had been through the party boat scandal, hops down. Yeah. He hops down on his butt and pretends like he's paddling a canoe trying to get away from the police boat. That was good. So those are good. And then I also, as a new father, appreciate this one. He gets down and pretends the football is a newborn baby, gives it a diaper change and a little wipe with a flag or something. I think he actually had something that he wiped the football with. Maybe it was one of his towels off of his belt or something like that.
Nice.
So yeah, I like Steve Smith.
Good choice.
How about you?
You know what? I've got a couple. Deion Sanders high stepping into the end zone with his hand behind his head.
Prime time.
I like that. And then the dance, the high step and dance that he does, that was great. Merton Hanks, not always a touchdown celebration, but Merton Hanks doing the chicken dance.
Oh,
Just cracked me up all the time.
we're gonna have to put up some videos, especially of that one. I think I get the feeling a lot of people probably won't know who that is or what that was.
It was a while ago. Yeah, that was.
That was before TV, I think.
That was about 25 years ago. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a while. That was a while back. There's great video on YouTube. We'll link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff though. And then a little bit more recently, although maybe not that much more recently, the Degeneration X chop.
Oh, from WWE/WWF.
Yes. I think this is what happened to eliminate celebrations in the first place in the NFL.
This was the
Degeneration
undoing.
X. For those of you who don't watch wrestling, first of all, God bless you. Secondly, back in the late 90s, in the World Wrestling Federation, there was a group of wrestlers called Degeneration X. And one of the things they would do is they would come down the ramp from backstage and they would climb into the ring and they would take their arms and they would sort of a chopping motion into their groins. And it was the DX chop. and it became wildly popular throughout the land. And people on football teams thought that was a really cool thing to do, and they started to do it. And yeah, that turns out nobody thought that was appropriate.
When is this? Like mid 90s?
Yeah, it would have been mid to late 90s. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it turns out gesticulating at your crotch on national TV wasn't the image the league wanted.
Well, hopefully it's on YouTube and we can show this to the masses too. Anybody who's curious.
There's one that Carson Palmer is doing, but I think
so even more
yeah,
recent.
I think that's more recent. I think it's with the Cardinals. We'll throw some links up in the show notes and give you some good examples of the celebrations we're talking about. But yes, anyway, now they're going to be allowing those back in.
I love it.
I'm excited.
Like
all of the Steve Smith celebrations would have been fine now.
They probably might have been able to be done anyway.
Actually, it might have been, depending on where he was on the field, because as long as he got off the sidelines.
Yeah, he couldn't have probably done the football baby one because he couldn't use the football as a prop. But
yeah,
the other ones were just kind of like little single man skits type things. So
although the canoe that might have been looked at as taunting.
That's true. If you could decipher that message.
If you could, that'd be you need to be a pretty quick official with that.
Yeah.
Just pretty aware of what's going on. They're still not going to allow celebrations that are considered taunting. You can't do it in front of somebody. So there are still some rules around it. It's not carte blanche, but they will be letting people celebrate a little more freely. So thank goodness for that. It's about time. Well done, NFL.
I'm glad.
The overtime rule, it looks like they're going to shrink overtime from a 15-minute period down to a 10-minute period.
Okay.
And I think that's I don't know. It's probably fine.
I'm curious to see what happens because my first impression was, is this actually going to result in more tie ball games?
Yeah, well, that's a perfectly legitimate thought. I think it probably will in the long run. What bothers me most about this rule is the reason they say they're doing it is playing an overtime period. Playing an entire overtime period puts your team at a disadvantage for the next game because there's more wear and tear on your players. To which I say, score more points.
Yeah,
and then you don't have to worry about that.
Or play better defense.
Yeah, one way or the other.
Yeah, you've got two sides of the ball here that you can fix this problem.
Or I guess, you know what, if you're that concerned, let the other team score.
Yeah, or just lose.
And then be done. I just hate, it's no fair if we have to, I hate that. I really don't like it. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Injured reserve, there's going to be some changes with the IR rule.
Yeah, so they're doubling the amount of players that can come back in the middle of the season and play in games again from 1 all the way up to 2.
Is that it?
Huge. That's huge change.
I thought it was bigger than that.
It seems like with the amount of players that get injured that you would need like 10, but I guess maybe it's not really as bad. I mean, I guess most people that get injured go down with season-long injuries anyway, like ACL tears, stuff like that, and there's no chance they're coming back within the 15 weeks.
Yeah.
At a minimum. Or it's stuff that's much shorter term and they just like, well, we'll just keep you on the sidelines for 3 weeks and it'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Roster cuts are being handled differently this year than in the past. Previously, you start off with 90 guys, and then they cut down to 70, 75, around there.
Yeah.
And then a final cut down to 53. Well, now it's just going to be one cut.
But you know what I found out, and I think you see this on episode 1 of Hard Knocks. If you paid attention, they showed Coach Cutter cutting, I think, 2 players in that first episode. So I think it's not necessarily that there's one cut day, but it's just that they just have the deadline, which this year is September 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern. And you just have to get your roster down to the 53 men by that time.
What?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I haven't seen it spelled out anywhere yet, but based on what I saw on Hard Knocks, they were cutting guys. So I think you can cut them at any point along this, and I don't know if maybe they can pull in new guys now and have 2 more guys to get back up to that 90.
Well, I imagine you could.
Yeah, but so that's the thing. There's not like just they don't have to just go ahead and call in 37 dudes in a big long line of terribleness on September 3rd,
which is almost too bad. because the part of me that roots for chaos, that would be horrible for a team
Yeah,
to
there's
have
so,
to do.
so many aspects to that whole process. Are if you had to do that for 37 people all at once.
It's a lot of people to go through. That's a lot of badness happening.
Yeah. Because what were you saying? Like, not only do they have to call these guys in and tell them that they're cut, but there's the logistics of
Yeah, you got to send
sending
them
them home.
Yeah, you got to send them all home. How do you arrange for transportation for guys from the facility back to whatever hotel dorm room they're living in, and then to the airport slash bus station?
Yeah.
That's a lot of guys to kind of worry around.
Doesn't say. I don't envy that job.
No, no, that's somebody. That's a couple of people call on the phone. I mean, do you use Expedia for that? How does that work?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're definitely not using their team planes.
No.
If they even have those. I don't know.
Speaking of team plane, this is totally off the subject, but did you see the New England Patriots bought two 767s
Oh, really? Wow.
to use as team planes? Apparently, and this, I had no idea this was happening, but apparently the planes that the NFL teams usually use for charters are approaching end of life.
Uh-oh.
And the airlines that operate them are they're doing cost benefit analysis and realizing it doesn't pay to do the refits they need to do to keep them in the air. So it's getting harder and harder to charter planes.
Interesting. So the Patriots are taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
Buying a couple planes for themselves. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I thought that was interesting.
More teams will do that.
So back to the rule changes. They're also adding onto the field. They're going to be adding in medical tents.
Yeah, yeah. So the NCAA football used those last year, and I think the NFL liked what they saw. I don't know if maybe there was some sort of agreement that, hey, let's let you guys test pilot this for a year, and then maybe we'll jump on if we like it. But I think it's going to be good. They're going to have the tents up on the sidelines, so players don't have to go take the long walk all the way around the field through the bowels of the stadium to get into the locker room or the medical room to get examined for, I don't know, a finger poke to the eye or something ridiculous like that. They can just, come off the field in the tents right there, and they're in the tent, so it's private. So they don't have everybody looking down on them either. So I think that's the reason it's a tent, and they're not just like having medical exams on a table out in the middle of a hostile away.
I am really surprised that nobody thought of doing this before. This seems like one of those things that's like, duh.
It does seem pretty obvious now that it's happening.
Of course we would. Why would we want to have him go, the half-mile walk back and then, no, that's dumb.
Yeah, they throw the guy onto the cart and drive him all the way around when he could just, hobble off to the sideline and get it looked at.
Well, and also about once or twice a year, there's something that happens with some guy's pants, and he needs to drop trow on the sidelines. Either it's an equipment issue, or he gets a contusion up high on his leg or on his butt, and he's gonna drop trow. Or you just want to get
a groin.
Yeah. And it's always they gotta line up trainers with towels, and they make this little changing room for this poor guy. Yes, this is gonna be good for a number of different reasons.
Good.
So that's fantastic. There's one last rule that's being looked at: intentional fouls, unsportsmanlike conduct. This has to do with at the end of the half or the end of the game when the clock's winding down and the defensive group at the snap of the ball will tackle all the receivers on the other team. They won't let them get off the ball. They will just grab them and hold them and fall down and not allow them to get into their routes.
No.
And obviously that's a penalty already. But what it used to be that was a penalty, they would stop the play, but the time would run off the clock. And so if you were trying to just kill the clock off,
it's a strategy move.
That was a great way to do it. You'd sacrifice yards and you'd burn clock, and that was great. Well, now what they're doing is they're going to give the 15-yard penalty, and they're also going to wind the clock back to wherever it was at the snap. So that will no longer be a thing that you can do.
Now, is this something that the defenses would do?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the opposite of the kneeling the ball, basically.
Yeah. Last year...
But you can still kneel.
You can still kneel down. If you're on offense, you can snap the ball and kneel down. That's fine. But if you're on defense, you can't just tackle the guy across from you so he can't get into his route.
So are you okay with this?
Really, no, I'm not. This is kind of a ridiculous thing because that's a strategy you should be able to use. You're being penalized.
I think so too.
For doing it. I mean, there are consequences to that action. Also, keep in mind, the game can't end on a defensive penalty.
Yeah.
So you can't run it all the way down to 0.
Yeah, they would still at least get their one play.
Yeah. So I you know what? It's no.
I'm fine with it. You are fine with it, though.
No, I'm sorry. I was fine with it the way it was.
Oh, yeah, me too. I like that the defense had their sort of way to hold on to their win the same way the offense gets their kneel play where they can sort of protect. There's a minute and a half left and the game is just over basically because they can just kneel it.
Yeah.
I want that. I think the defense, either that or they should get rid of the kneel and you have to actually run real offensive plays.
I hadn't thought about that. That's not a bad idea either.
Which, I mean, the kneel, it's great when it's your team, but when you're just watching a game, it kind of drives me nuts, especially if it's like the Steelers are about to win a game and I'm like, oh my God, come on.
Yeah, and when there's like 3 of them they need to do, they got to hike the ball 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's punishment when you idiotically have used your timeouts at the very beginning of the second half because Brock Osweiler's your quarterback and he can't. You want to keep that third down, but
yeah, he can't read the safety, so he's just calling timeout, and I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I didn't know where the linebacker was. Yeah.
So maybe they should get rid of the. Maybe that's what they need to do is also get rid of the kneeling so that the offense has to see out their victory all the way through.
And then fair game for all, yeah?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Anyway, no, you won't see that anymore. No more of that. So let's run down the injuries, yeah?
Yeah.
So those are the rule changes.
So the first good rule change is kind of a big one. I mean,
not bad.
Ryan, I'm only upset with that last one. Quarterback, their franchise quarterback, goes down, partially torn ACL.
At some point, be able to
that's not good.
Change that, but no.
But they had Jay Cutler waiting in the wings, and they've already got him. So they've got the replacement.
Remind me. I was catching blurbs on this, and there was something about Jay Cutler used to work with Adam Gase.
Yes. Well. Oh, here we go. So Gase was the OC in Chicago in 2015. Cutler was obviously there that year.
In 2015.
Yes, and then Gase was in Denver the 2 years before, but Cutler was long gone by then because Cutler had been in Chicago for like 9 years, which I didn't know. Time flies when you're ignoring Jay Cutler.
So he was the OC in Denver when Peyton Manning was there.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and that makes sense because I remember Peyton Manning called Miami and lobbied to get Gase that head coaching job.
Yeah, that sounds right. And then he failed.
Adam Gase is fine. He's a fine coach.
I'm just kidding.
That's funny though. He's a young coach, except not anymore. Now they've got puppy nuts in L.A. now too.
Yeah.
So it's how we're doing things now.
Yeah.
What else do you have for injuries?
All right. Next up, we got a couple more Chargers injuries. They have been terrorized by injuries to important players. Their rookie right guard, Forrest Lamp, has a torn ACL. He was going to be part of the big revamp of their offensive line. He's gone, so that hurts them a lot. And their rookie wide receiver, Mike Williams, he came down with a herniated disc in his back a while ago. He's going to be on the PUP list to begin the season, and we're not really sure when he's coming back. But I did find out today that he's actually back in camp running routes. So he's on the right direction to being able to play for them this season.
That's good.
Yeah, but I mean, man, they've had it bad. They lost Keenan Allen in the first game last year, and they had Stevie Johnson tear his meniscus in training camp last year. So they've been losing some important pieces, and hopefully they don't lose anymore because I like the Chargers.
Wasn't this initially reported as a season-ending injury?
Yeah, I think not necessarily as for sure, but there was kind of like talk that he might have to have surgery on the disc in his back, which would then remove him from the season.
Okay, I think so. I think he actually came out and said Or am I thinking of somebody else? He actually came out and said, "No, I'm fine. This isn't going to hold me out for the season."
Yeah, so Mike Williams, hopefully on the road back to recovery. The Chargers could use him. They'd have a really strong receiving core if they got him in there too.
Yes.
The Giants, wide receiver Sterling Shepard, wide receiver 3 behind Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham, but still an important part of their offense. He has just gotten the low ankle sprain, which is much better than the dreaded high ankle sprain, which can linger forever. So he should be back, but it was kind of scary for a while there where they didn't know. Had him, I think he was carted off the field in training camp, so yikes.
Yeah.
Another wide receiver, Texans wide receiver Will Fuller, broke his collarbone.
Wow.
Not good. He's going to be out 2 to 3 months, so he's probably one of these guys that's going to be, well, I don't know how it works. Probably on the PUP list instead of the injured reserve. I think that's reserved for in-season injuries.
Okay.
So he'll be back, but that's going to open up opportunities for Jalen Strong and Braxton Miller to come in and hopefully do something for the Texans in the receiving game, because otherwise it's going to be the DeAndre Hopkins show. All right, we got another wide receiver injury. They're dropping like flies.
Jeez.
Quincy Enunwa of the Jets, which is terrible news because I don't know if you've looked at the Jets depth chart yet, but he was pretty much the only one that was really going to be reliable for anything. So now they're down to Robbie Anderson, who I'm sure you haven't heard of, but no, he is not the musical artist from England. And a bunch of other guys that you've never heard of are playing wide receiver for the Jets. The only bright spot is they have Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Have you heard of him, Jay?
No. Who's that?
Okay. Well, he played on the Bucs for, I think he's been in the league. This might be his 4th year, but he's been around for a little while. And he was one of these big athletic tight end guys that, people were raving about. This guy's going to be amazing, but he just couldn't get his act together. I think he had some off the field issues and maybe even some health issues a little bit too. Just could never get it going in Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. So Jets are taking a chance on him. Hopefully he turns into something because they need some receiving game presence.
Man.
Yeah. And of course, it wouldn't be a training camp without the Ravens losing players left and right.
You talk about Ryan Tannehill. Talk about your QB there.
Well, Joe Flacco's got a bum back. I don't know where this came from. I thought he was fine, but apparently he's doing okay because they signed like a quarterback from the Canadian Indoor Football League or something like that. So obviously they're not too worried about anything. They don't think that he's going to have to stick around and get paid.
Right.
And I really don't think that they want to watch Ryan Mallett play football professionally when it matters.
I'm not sure there's many people. I'm not sure even Mrs. Mallett wants to watch Ryan Mallett play football professionally.
She'd prefer he stayed home and made her dinner. So I think right now I'm okay. I'm still feeling confident that things will be fine for the Ravens.
Okay.
In the quarterback department, I'm not so sure otherwise. They had their new rookie guard Nico Siragusa tore his ACL, his MCL, and his PCL. Which are a lot of collateral ligaments.
What was holding the leg on? Just skin at that point?
Skin. Yeah, I think skin. Yeah, so that's not good. Their offensive line was already kind of bottom of the barrel, so this doesn't help them at all. This is the 7th player that the Ravens have lost for the season. Since June 1st this year.
Oh man.
So I'm not happy.
No.
Yeah, so there have been some injuries. There were more injuries. If we've left you off the list, that's not because it's because you're not good enough to be on the list.
I've got one it's not really an injury.
Okay.
But it amuses me. Brandon Albert
of
the Jacksonville Jaguars retired. This. He retired. He wanted, apparently in the offseason, he wanted a new contract. He was traded from the Dolphins to Jacksonville. He had 2 years on his contract, but he wanted a new deal. And he didn't go to any of the OTAs during the offseason. And he finally shows up at camp. He stays in camp for, I think, a week. And then he retires. Anyway, over the weekend, he decides that he wants to unretire. And Jacksonville tells him no.
nah, we're good.
Yeah, they're fine. They feel pretty comfortable with the guys they got. They did draft a left tackle out of Alabama, Cam Robinson, and I thought they were going to let him mature a little bit, but apparently they think they've got the offensive line they want. So
I think they've got that excitement now. They're like, okay, we
yeah.
got this rookie. We're going to use him instead. We're going to save some money.
Yeah, that says the Jaguars place Brandon Albert on reserve retired list.
Yeah. Well, you heard too. I think part of the rumor was that Albert found out that he was going to have to give back his signing bonus, and so he was like, "Well, maybe I won't retire."
Oh, that would do it for me.
Yeah.
If somebody told me I had to give money back, that's interesting because I think how that works is because the Jacksonville Jaguars traded for him, they would actually get his money back too.
Yeah.
Money that they never paid him.
Yeah.
So they would basically this would be the Dolphins paying money through Albert or Brandon Albert to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
That is fascinating to me.
Craziness.
Oh, man.
One other injury I forgot. Another ACL tear. The Rams defensive lineman Dominique Easley, who was part of their impressive front seven, the ACLs are not working for him. He tore both of them while he was in college. I'm not sure if it was at the same time, but they've both already been torn once. So now one of them's re-torn. That's not going to help their defense.
No, that's too bad because they had some talent on that front line.
Well, they still do, but it just got a little bit weaker is all.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the rundown. Did you watch Hard Knocks?
I haven't watched it yet. No.
Okay. All right. We'll get into it next week then. Yeah, that's all I got.
Hey, well, you heard Anquan Bolden finally got in on things. He's going to play with the Bills.
Why would he do that? Is Tyrone Taylor still the quarterback up there?
Yeah, I think things are going to go good for them now. They've got a nice trio with Sammy Watkins, Zay Jones, and now they've got Anquan Bolden as well, who's not going to be setting the world on fire or anything, but he's a reliable receiver, and I think he'll be a good safety blanket for Tyrod Taylor if Watkins and Jones, or I think whoever their tight end is now, I don't know, or LaShawn McCoy, I mean, that's a pretty formidable receiving core they've got.
It is, and this one bothers me mostly because I'm not a huge Bills fan, and I like Anquan Bolden a lot, and to see him go, because he went from Detroit last year.
Yeah.
So he went
kind of disappeared for me because I wasn't really paying much attention to Detroit.
Yeah, so he goes from now. Correct me if I'm wrong. He goes from San Francisco.
Yes.
To Baltimore.
No.
Other way?
Yeah. He won the Super Bowl with Baltimore, and then
he goes to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then he goes from San Francisco to
Detroit. Yes.
And then Detroit now to Buffalo.
Yeah. And I agree. I wish he wouldn't have gone to the Bills. Not because I hate the Bills or anything, but just because I don't pay attention to the Bills. I don't watch them that much.
Because dude he's a pro receiver. I mean, he's a good guy to get. I agree with you absolutely. He's absolutely a great pickup for the Bills. Good on him for doing it.
Yeah, I think it'll work out nicely for him.
All right.
What else we got? You heard about Devontae Freeman? He picked up he got his new extension. He is now the NFL's highest paid running back.
Really?
$41.25 million extension. 5 years, going to be there through 2022. $22 million guaranteed. $15 million signing bonus.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a huge contract.
Yeah. Are you surprised that they gave it to him?
You know what? I'm a little, just because they've got guys they got to pay on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Julio Jones has got his contract right now, but he's going to be up again in a year. Is it a year, 2 years? Matt Ryan's going to come up again in not too long, and they've got an entire defense.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the Falcons are going to do. I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, Julio signed a 6-year deal 2 years ago, so he's locked up until 2021.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, if he plays it out.
Yeah, if he doesn't continue to have foot problems. That might be his, I don't know, he's 28 now. 3 or 4 more years. Might be on his way out. That might be his last contract. No, you think he's going to keep playing? He's had some injury troubles. I didn't
think about that. You're right. I was thinking he might decide to hold out. But you're right. It's a ways off.
But Matt Ryan is a free agent in 2019. So those two are going to come up against each other a little bit.
And if you know what, if Derek Carr is worth what he got, what is Matt Ryan worth?
Yeesh.
That's I don't.
More.
And the thing is, that even worse than that, though, even worse than that, Kirk Cousins is gonna break. Somebody is gonna pay Kirk Cousins all the money next year.
Yeah.
And if Kirk Cousins is worth all the money, what's Matt Ryan worth? I mean, those to
Probably
me,
all
those,
the money.
To me, those two guys are very similar.
The only thing is Matt Ryan's 32 now.
Yeah.
So he'll be 35. So I don't know. Maybe that people are just going to pay, or not just going to pay that much for a 35-year-old quarterback.
They might, but you look at Peyton Manning played until he was 40. Aaron Rodgers is how old is Aaron Rodgers now? He's 32, and he just signed a huge contract.
I don't think he's 32.
Aaron Rodgers?
Is he? Is he that young?
I think he is.
I think we just talked about that. I think you're right.
Tom Brady is. I think he's 40. He's turning 40 this year.
Yeah.
He just turned 40 in camp, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is 33, and he just signed another 4 or 5 year deal.
Yeah. Why do I feel like Aaron Rodgers is so much older than Matt Ryan?
Because Aaron Rodgers has been in the league for so long.
That's true. Yeah. Man, he sat behind Favre for like 3 years, didn't he? And he's still only a year older than Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, wow, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with quarterbacks. This is the death of teams, though, because you've got Atlanta, who just went to the Super Bowl, and now they got to pay their guys. You got to pay your guys, but now that you've paid your guys, how do you maintain your edge?
Yeah, interesting.
I'm
glad I'm not in charge of that stuff.
The only team the only team in the NFL that I look at and say they don't do it that way is the Patriots.
Yep.
Because the only person they pay is Tom Brady. That's it.
Seems like they have a lot of turnover every year, but you don't hear about it.
Well, that's because they have turnover, but it's not.
They actually trade guys away too. Have you noticed that? They actually make trades.
Yeah.
Which you don't see a lot of other teams making trades anymore.
They traded Jamie Collins last year.
Yeah.
And got picks, and who else they've been traded? They traded
for Brandon Cooks. They got rid of their draft pick for that one.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they'll do something with him. I don't see him staying there for that long.
Well, right until you got to pay him, and then we're not going to.
Their wide receivers never hang around. I'm sure they'll move on from Collins.
Man, I don't know. I worry about it. The Seahawks were good, and then they had to pay people, and now they're still good, except for the offensive line, which apparently you don't need that to be good. So dumb. This sport's stupid. Devontae Freeman. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah.
God bless. He's good back.
Yeah. The other thing I have, which I thought you might like to talk about, because I know you love this guy, Trent Baalke. He was obviously removed from the San Francisco 49ers.
Removed, that's a good word for it.
He has a job now with the NFL. He's their football operations consultant.
A consultant for football operations.
Do you like this move? Do you know what that does?
I have no idea at all.
This is an advisory position, so he's going to work with the NFL on game-related matters, officiating, player development, player evaluation, and video review. So seems like pretty much everything. He's just going to help them make all the decisions.
He's overseeing. And you were saying earlier that this is the same job that Tom Coughlin had.
Yeah, last year before he came back. He's now the executive vice president of football operations for the Jaguars. So he got back into the team side of things after working in the league side of things for a year.
I think what's interesting to me about this is that I completely understood that when Tom Coughlin had the job, because it seems like the kind of sort of emeritus position that you would have for, kind of an old guard guy that you want to keep around for expertise and because he's a brand and he's
been good at what he was doing.
Yeah, and he's had success.
Yeah,
and then Trent Baalke gets the job, and what Trent Baalke did was take a team that was good and then he made them bad.
So what I'm predicting is the NFL folds in 2 years.
Ugh. Trent Baalke's going to find a way to screw this up.
He's
that's going to run it right into the ground.
Yeah, hopefully not. We wouldn't have a podcast anymore.
No,
because we'll be for sure doing this for at least 2 more years.
Of course, we'll move on to the EPL. That's what we'll do. We'll just do Premier League stuff.
That.
It'll be great. Maybe we should hope for that. We'll root for.
Maybe we should just do both. Stay tuned for our new podcast coming soon.
It'll be even better because I have no way to watch the games. So all of my commentary will be uninformed completely.
We'll just go off of the sparse box scores.
Yes. We won't know how to pronounce any of the names. It'll be great. This is perfect. It'll be a lot like now.
I love it.
All right. Well, let's sign off before we drag this thing out any farther.
All right. Well, that was our episode for week 5, our 5th episode of The Broken Plane. You can catch us on Twitter, The Broken Plane. You can email us at thebrokenplanepod@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We're on iTunes.
The Broken Plane Podcast on Facebook.
Yes, the Broken Plane Podcast on Facebook. You can find us on iTunes or on Google Play Music. That's more than enough ways.
I think there's an Instagram.
Oh yeah, we have an Instagram account.
Yeah.
The Broken I don't know if it's at the Broken. You know what to find us at, the Broken Plane Podcast.
Any of those ways, and please send in a question or send in a comment, even if it's to tell Jay that he's bad at this job. That's fine.
That we would love that.
That'd be fantastic.
We want to interact with our fans and our haters.
I would print that out and I would post it in my cubicle at work.
I want haters more than I want fans, I think. I would love to just be easier. Yeah. I'm trying. Maybe I need to be meaner on Twitter.
I think you do. More acerbic, more sarcastic. Yeah. All right.
All right, good show.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
I am still living with your ghost, lonely and dreaming of the West Coast. I don't want to be your downtime. I don't want to be your stupid game with my big black boots and an old suit.